CNN Breaking News.
Today, our government addressed the public about the recent advances on revamping the DACA program and what may arise in the future for those affected by the program, of whom we call the Dreamers.
After a promising start from Schumer and Senate team discussing the possibility of a deal being struck in the near future, the Republicans, backed by President Trump, made clear that unless drastic border security measures are put into place, compromise will be difficult, if not impossible, to reach, as each branch defines the level of necessary security provisions differently.
All indications from the White House are that a preliminary deal has been agreed to by the administration and the Democratic congressional leadership in restoring some of the DACA protections in exchange for an increase in border security. We'll support the deal as we see fit, but through no deal will we support funding for a border wall.
Though it seems that the Democrats are reluctant to agree on a deal with Republicans, they are willing to compromise if it means that DACA will continue in a way they seem fair.
Regardless, they're hesitant about the extent in which the deal involves border security. As we've heard throughout President Trump's campaign, we know he is focused on building a wall.
He has expressed time and time again that the wall is the primary security provision concern.
According to him, this wall will be theoretically funded by Mexico and bring jobs and national security to our country.
In his speech today, he offers no alternatives and proclaimed the wall was a necessary component in any compromises reached between the Democrats and Republicans.
Massive border security, it's pretty obvious. We need to protect our borders, and our border down in the south is massive. We need to make sure that the wall is built, and Dems and Republicans have agreed that the border security issue is substantial enough to look at. That's not my words, that's their words. Look, no deal has been made without President Trump's authorization of that deal. I will be there every step of the way to ensure that the wall is being paid for. Mexico will pay for the wall. We have to make sure that that is on the table because that will sustain our border security for years to come. If we go down the route of hiring more border security, that is years and years of continuing money where the wall is a one-time payment.
So with our president demanding a wall and our House and Senate Democrats demanding a different solution, how will we ever come to a solution?
President Trump says he will do whatever he has to, even if it means locking the Democrats and Republicans in a room together.
Are we finally seeing the side of President Trump that is taking action on his promises?
Others in his party seem to feel differently. Ryan shared that the security measures that our policy creators have discussed were merely a loose agreement at best.
The wall that Trump so passionately speaks of is more of an afterthought, according to Ryan.
He agrees immigration and border security are problems which need to be addressed, but he doesn't agree that is a provision that is required to be made at this moment.
It appears that the promises Trump made during the election are not being held up and are causing a divide between the Republican Party.
This begs the question, was it just for show?
As we've seen with the Dreamers Act starting all the way back 30 years ago, comprehensive immigration reform does not work. You cannot get everybody on board and have one huge sweeping bill solve all your problems. This bill is just a piece of the puzzle that will be the solution. And therefore, it'll be easier to pass one little bit at a time. Like I said earlier, the time to postpone the problem and kick the can down the road is over, and now it's time for us to act. As far as border security goes, and Dreamers over the age of 16, those are two more pieces of the puzzle that Congress needs to fill in within these allotted 6 months. We got the ball rolling.
Paul Ryan appears to be working diligently with Republicans and Democrats to strike a new deal with the SMAD Act, but no concrete agreements have been reached yet.
Though we did not hear from Paul Ryan's team for comment on the Republican disjointment of views on the wall, we heard from Chuck Schumer earlier, who mentioned the Dems would support any act that would protect the Dreamers.
Maybe the SMAD Act is just what we need to get an agreement through to protect these Dreamers, improve this process.
With the Democrats on board, the Republicans continue to appear divided.
They seem so divided that Joe Kelly, President Trump's press secretary, goes as far to say that there are differences between Ryan's political party and President Trump's political party.
Obviously, there's going to be some differences between the parties, but as it's been known, Trump is a master negotiator, and I believe we can get Paul Ryan on board with the wall once we get some other things done.
While this may have been just a slip of the tongue, it still leaves us wondering how any compromise will be made when the Republicans can't even reach a general consensus amongst themselves.
It appears their personal ideas and goals are getting in the way of creating a bill catering to the greater good of the American people.
While President Trump asserts that he is sympathetic towards the Dreamers and wants to help them, many argues that his assertions are empty claims in an attempt to maintain his public appearance.
I guess in some probably low part in his gut, he probably feels sympathy, but we kind of all see through the charade, and I feel like he's just trying to appeal to his base of Trump supporters, and probably trying to gain more votes for the 2020 election.
After today's events, it's hard to determine whether or not Congress will be able to reach an agreement in the 6 months' time they've been allotted.
It was reassuring to hear that the Democrats and Republicans understand that compromise is necessary, but every individual seems to have their own priority that they are unwilling to part with.
The Republicans need to come together and decide what they intend to focus on together, or they will continue to be divided and will only hurt them more and more as President Trump's term continues.
This doesn't bode well for the future of the Republican Party in the slightest.